some of the lowest points in my life, sports has always helped improve my mental health. Yet seeing the news of professional athletes needing a mental health break from sports made me wonder, what's the tipping point? To find the answer to my question, I interviewed competitors at different levels of sport to check in on their experiences.
My name is Joey King Handles Haywood. I'm a local basketball player, also professional basketball player, street baller, also coach and trainer.
Okay, so my name is Aidan, and I have competed, I guess my highest level would be provincially for rugby, under 18.
My name is Arland Bruce III, two-time Grey Cup champion. I played 13 years professional football in the NFL and the CFL.
My name is Caris, and I play high school and club.
My name is Jade Huynh, and I play basketball on UBC women's team.
My name is Dryden Kuramoto. I play hockey in the BCHL, which is Junior A League.
My name's Nick Roach, and I played professional football for 8 years for the Chargers, Bears, and Raiders.
Yeah, my name is Grayson Boucher, better known as the Professor. Been playing professionally since 2003.
In high school, I went, 3 sports, track, basketball, and football. And by the time I got to be a junior and a little bit of my senior year, I had gotten 2 offers, scholarship offers to go to college to play. And so
Probably just playing soccer or whatever against my older brother in my backyard and stuff. And then obviously I started skating at 3, so that was my first hockey experience there.
I think when my brother used to take me around, different local courts, I used to see him play and his friends, and that kind of drove me to become want to take basketball serious. But when I also saw Michael Jordan play, and he won his first championship, and so the crowd and people around him, and I was like, man, I want to be just like Michael Jordan, right?
Everyone who plays a sport, whether amateur or professional, has had a moment or a series of moments that helped them to fall in love with it. Was there ever a point where the pressure to perform got to be too much? And where did the pressure come from?
Yeah, there are times where it is challenging, and I do feel pressure to meet certain goals or expectations. But for me, the pressure is more internal. I feel like I create it for myself because I have super high standards and expectations for myself, and I just want to be the best that I can be and improve on my skills.
I used to have that, when I was playing, I guess under 16, I would always feel like I needed to do really, really, really well and have a perfect game all the time. And when I thought that, I'd always play worse because I was so stressed. But I've started to just relax and I don't need to do any special preparation. I just go out there and try to, have fun, and I end up playing better.
So you put that pressure on yourself. I know I did, but it was more hidden. It wasn't outright, hey, I want to be better than him. It was just, hey, I want to be the best at what I'm doing, whether it's making my bed, whether it's cooking breakfast, or whether it's playing professional sports. That was just my mentality. I put the pressure on myself to be the greatest that I could ever be in whatever I'm doing.
The mental-physical connection in sport has been more prominent in recent years, so I inquired about how these athletes might feel that connection in correlation to their struggles with performance anxiety.
So have you done any or seen anything about the flow state at all? It's just about the process of being in this kind of mental space where you're performing things that you are so fine-tuned at, and that you practice and regimented so many times that you no longer have to actively think about it, but you're still executing everything you need to be successful,
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the dream goal of where you can get, other places they call it being in the zone or something like that. But
Flow state sounds like an important way of internally managing the balance between performance and anxiety.
Yeah, it gets pretty tough sometimes, especially this year. It definitely amplifies my workload and my stress levels. I always feel like if I didn't have school and my grades to worry about, I could focus a lot more on hockey. It's the most tough when you miss 4 classes and they're all lessons. Then you got to take the test Monday. and you're stressed out on the weekend before games about the test when you could just be focusing on hockey, you know.
And with school at the same time, so it's like all like conflict of interest, and I'm like, I'd say I'm stressed, but I'm not like stressed to the point where I'm, you know, it's affecting me. I just always have that level of stress because, you know, it's sports happening at the exact same time as school, and I sometimes aren't able to meet deadlines for school.
When put through such grueling periods of work, breaks are an option for athletes to relieve some strain on their mental state. The views surrounding breaks vary from person to person, so I was curious to see their stance on this topic.
I tend to take very few breaks. I go a million miles an hour. I actually stress them out.
Yeah.
I stress my squad and team out with how hard I go. I go harder than them, and I don't ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do. So if I took a break and said, hey, I'm going to go on a day, which I've only done one time in my adult life, and then it would be well received for sure. Back in the day, though, I didn't have the option. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't fully even believe in that. If you're on a team and you're dedicated for the season, you shouldn't be taking no breaks. Like, you should be able to deal with the season head on. Because I think, like, when it comes to performance anxiety, or when it comes to, like, people talking about depression and mental health, I think a lot of people swing too big in that category too. I think it's very important, and I think it needs to be valued, but I think people are taking it to new, like, astronomical heights.
Yeah,
like, if
totally.
you start the season, you don't need no breaks. Finish the season. You're like, you know what I'm saying? You get lace your shoes up tight, man. You're ready to go. That's how I view that, to be honest. Unless you're injured, right? If you're injured or physically sick, that's different.
While finding that balance is important, there still seems to be stigma around talking about matters of mental health in sports.
You know, it's not like I guess it's like you just feel weak, I guess, is a good way to put it. Weak, or like not manly, quote unquote, right? So yeah, at times obviously there is a little bit of a stigma, but I think it's important to talk about.
With such stigma, the question of who do these athletes talk to about their struggles became apparent. Do they talk to family members, friends, therapists, or counselors? Or do they internalize their struggles and tough it out?
I talk to my friends. I talk to my teammates too, so they understand what I'm going through. I rarely talk to my coaches about it, and I talk to my family.
I have a lot of resources, like my friends, family, coaches, and teammates who are all there for me to talk to when, like, things are challenging and I need someone to talk to.
I guess I would maybe talk to my family. I don't really have a counselor right now, but probably my family, or just try and, you know, go over things with myself, but yeah.
With the plethora of experiences and valuable insights held by these athletes, I asked them what they would tell the future generations of athletes or their peers in sport about mental health.
If they say they're dealing with mental health, you have to really take them seriously and, you know, put yourself in their position and hear them out.
I would say it's more rooted in identity. It's more spiritual. You know what I'm saying? It's more rooted in identity than it is like just like these physical practices that people try to do. That's my personal take on it. You know what I mean?
Really make it the priority, because kind of like I mentioned before, out of the mental and emotional state that you're in will come your performance, will come your trajectory and your priorities. And so I think that as soon as you can start gaining self-awareness around just where you realistically are, you know, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, and starting to be able to kind of define those things and grow in those understandings of like kind of what makes you tick, you know, what draws you to certain behaviors and activities, negative and positive. And so like just really starting to grow in understanding yourself on that level.
Take care of your mental health, because if you're not in a good mental place, then you can't be there for your teammates.
You have to, you know, have a friend or someone that you could talk to, that you have an outlet, and have an outlet to, you know, talk about your frustration. Because if you don't really talk about it, it could really make you sick. Because I've been through it, I understand that, and you know, sometimes it could be maybe suicidal too as well, that you don't want to be alive, which you don't want to get to that state, because, you know, everybody, you know, I believe that everybody's, created and born on this earth to fill a purpose for others and themselves. So you don't want to feel like that. So have an outlet, have a friend, or talk to a counselor. There's so much stuff now around that could people that could help you. Like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, no, right? It wasn't really talked about a lot, but now there's so much help. Just make sure it just doesn't, it doesn't really affect you as much. It's going to affect you. You're going to feel down, but don't let it just take over your life, because it can. It really can.
Ultimately, it isn't the sports that put pressure on these athletes, but rather internal expectations and outside sources. These athletes have found multiple ways to balance their mental health and commitments to excelling in sports, from enriching their lives spiritually and through relationships where they can talk openly about their struggles.